Hi there, my name is Ellie Bavarnik and I am the creator, blogger, writer, photographer, designer of the blog There She Goes. The link will be in the comments below. Today I want to talk about how I got here, how I got to traveling the world after graduation. So I'm going to start kind of far back just to give you a basis. When I was a kid, we traveled as a family to a few different places. The ones that I really remember, well, not that well, I was young, but that stand out at least, were Mexico and Costa Rica. We went because we had friends there both times, and it was such a great experience. I remember vaguely climbing the pyramids. I was very, very young, and I remember ziplining through the jungle in Costa Rica and seeing all the animals, and it was such a good time. And we would do different road trips up the East Coast, which was always fun. I remember staying at a llama farm, which was pretty cool because my mom really likes llamas a lot. We got to walk them in the morning, so that was exciting. And we stayed at my friend's lake house. All those things made me want to travel more. And I think that, some people ask about how I do it alone, and I think that one thing that always helps me, or that helped me be the most independent, was going to sleepaway camp. So I used to go to camp for about 4 weeks. One summer, the last summer, we'd go 8 weeks, and then I staffed a couple times, which is about 10 weeks over the summer. And it was great. I mean, it teaches you to really be independent, make social connections without any phones. We had no phones. We couldn't even call our parents for the whole time that we were there. We just wrote letters. No TV, no emails, nothing. So it really teaches you to be in tune with where you are and the people around you, and it definitely helped me be independent and be okay, comfortable away from home, starting from a young age. And then so we traveled a fair amount as a family, and then when I was getting ready to go to college, I had applied to everything, but then I decided that I wanted to do a gap year in Israel. There was a program that I had heard about through my sleepaway camp and through the youth groups that I was really involved in, and I was dead set on it. That summer before I went, there was a lot of unrest in Israel, so my parents were not keen about me going, but I went anyway, and it was amazing, and it was so safe. Everyone always thinks Israel is really crazy, and it has been at certain times in the past, but most of the time it's not. And I loved it. So I was in Israel for the whole year. I was on a program with 70 people. The first semester I studied at the Hebrew University, and the second semester I volunteered in a youth village in Haifa. I worked in the kitchen there, and it was amazing. Every weekend we would go travel to some other place in another city in Israel. We would celebrate Shabbat. We did religious things. We did secular things. We camped on the beach. We had meals where they made everything from scratch, and I even had chocolate liqueur once that they had made from scratch at somebody's home. They were feeding us for free just because it was Shabbat, out of the kindness of their hearts. So I loved Israel, and on that trip too we went to Poland and we did a Holocaust tour with about 30 of us, and that was really moving as well. But since Israel, I've been traveling a lot. I went back to Israel one summer, and actually last summer I went back for a conference for free, so I stayed for a month and went to Greece in the middle, went to Greece for 2 weeks, also did all that by myself, and it was really, really fun. And that trip was actually after going to Japan by myself. So I went to Japan because I had a friend who was studying abroad there. Having a friend is always an excuse to go somewhere. So I decided to fly there. It was during a short, week-long break from school, which is kind of insane to travel across the world for 10 days, but I did it. And I went to Nagasaki, just Nagasaki, because I really like to be in a place for a long time, and I didn't want to spend the whole 10 days on a train traveling. So I really stayed there and got to know Nagasaki, and I really, really enjoyed it. I had such a fun time. I hung out with my friend, I hung out with her friends, everyone that was studying at her school. I met new people, and I just experienced a totally different culture than America. Everything was just wildly different. I remember noticing on the trains, everyone was totally silent. I had lived in Massachusetts for about 8 months, and there, everything's loud and crazy, and same in New York, the subways are always nuts, but in Japan it was just completely silent. Nobody was talking to each other, and in general everything was very quiet, and the food was amazing. The people were really nice. It was totally different, so that's what inspired me to go travel to Greece by myself too. So I did those 2 solo trips, and I had a great time. I met so many different people. In Greece I met somebody who was visiting some friends from university. They invited me out for drinks with them. They invited me the next night to have dinner with them, a traditional Greek meal. It was so nice. And so since then I've really enjoyed traveling solo, and one of my life goals is to make it to a new country every single year for my whole life. Eventually, hopefully, maybe I'll run out of countries and then I'll just be going back to a new country, a country I've already been to. So then this past year was my senior year of undergrad. I studied art and art history, and I had a relationship. It was very loving, and we wanted to stay together after graduation. So we took a lot of thought and debate, but eventually we decided on a backpacking trip, and we would start in Asia because it's cheaper here and it's more interesting, it's different. And we chose Taiwan because it was the cheapest ticket. Long story short, the relationship didn't work out, but it brought me here to Asia, which is pretty cool. And it helped me find my niche for the blog, which is solo travel, specifically as a... Hi, how are you? So specifically as a female. Sorry, I was interrupted for a second. Anyway, yeah, so it brought me to my blog, There She Goes, which is a blog about solo female travel. And it brought me to Asia, where I've made so many friends, and I'm backpacking all by myself, and it's pretty cool. And that's the story of how I got here. But just to tell you what I've done so far, so I'm still in Taiwan, but I'm leaving in a few days to go to Japan. I went to Hong Kong as well for a few days to visit a friend. He's studying at SCAD University there, and I saw the protests and everything, which was pretty crazy. And Taiwan has been really nice. I've been in the south a little bit. I've been on the coast and in the north. The east coast of Taiwan is really beautiful. In Hualien, right now I'm in Taidang, and it's very beautiful. It's all on the coast, very windy, but obviously here surrounded by mountains as well. So it's a really cool juxtaposition. And so far I've made a lot of friends. It's surprising, you know, when you're in hostels, it's really easy to make friends. Everybody else is traveling, a lot of people traveling solo as well, looking to meet people. So that's been pretty easy, and meeting people in Hualien was no problem because it's a huge tourist area, so all kinds of foreigners there. And yeah, so now here I am. I'm most of the days I think I prefer to spend alone now, because the more time I spend alone, the more I want to be alone after I'm hanging out with other people. So it's really teaching me to enjoy my time by myself, and I think it's interesting because it makes me a little bit more introverted, but also a little bit more extroverted. So when I see people, I'm outgoing, and I always talk to them, maybe give them a compliment or say hello if I see that maybe they possibly speak English. And I also am fine and enjoy my time alone. So overall, that's my journey of how I got here, and I hope that you enjoyed. And that's it. So please follow my blog. The link is below. My blog is www.thereshegoes.world. My Instagram is at @thereshegoes_world. So if you want to follow those, that would be awesome. Thank you.